Burnley! Scott Arfield! He's been threatening that recently, and all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. Here's Rory now. On the outside. He's
He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly. Finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell. Saved by the keeper!
Burnley won it to the end! That is magnificent! They deserve that!
On by Paul Patella, off for a hat-trick.
He's got it! Hat-trick for Nathan Teller! Oh, he's on fire at the minute! 3-0 Burnley! It's Nathan Teller's day, and Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby!
Here's Benson, can he go on the outside? Comes inside, top shot!
Oh, the goal! Manuel Benson once more! That is top class! Burnley have done it! Fantastic! Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everybody, welcome along to the latest episode of the Turfcast podcast pre-game show with me, Joe Redmond, ahead of Arsenal's visit to Turf Moor this weekend, Saturday, 3 o'clock. And let's be fair, an in-form Arsenal team after smashing West Ham at the weekend. It was a painful watch for Burnley fans, I'll be honest with you. I was watching it thinking, I'll just see how Arsenal get on, see if they're looking good. And wow, I was like, okay, we have to play these next. And as you can see, I'm joined by Arsenal fan Albert from Albert JTV. How you doing, mate?
Joe, pleasure. Not too bad, mate. Happy Thursday evening, shall I say. Yeah, not doing too bad.
Yeah, happy days, mate. Happy days. But before we get started, I just want to remind you all that this episode of the pre-game show is sponsored by Green King Sport, where football is more than a game. Green King Sport venues are showing every single televised Burnley fixture over the 23-24 season, and with more than 900 sports pubs across the UK, it doesn't matter whether you're based in Burnley or Brighton, you can catch every single minute of the action. And remember that if you download the Green King Sports app, you won't just get 10% off all drinks anytime there's sport on the TV. But this month, there's also 1,000 pints of free Guinness to be won, and with the chance to win one of 6 holidays as well. So it's definitely worth checking out. Right, Albert, let's get into it. Arsenal doing very well this season. Currently in a title race. Some people are trying to sort of like play it down, but you're definitely in a title race. Just looking at the league table now on my screen, Arsenal in third. Only 2 points off the top, and that's Liverpool, who you played the same amount of games of, and you've just beaten. Yes, City do have a game in hand on you, but you're currently level on points with City. If they win that, obviously, that'll put them 3 points ahead. If you both continue to win games, which you probably will this weekend, but we'll get into that. Season so far, you must be delighted with the position that you're in.
I am. I don't know if you're on obviously social media, Joe. Arsenal fans we're a very fickle bunch, man.
Tell me about it. I'll get into that, mate.
But yeah, you know what? It's I think off of the disappointment of last season. I know Arsenal fans get triggered about Arsenal bottled it, but I always say, Joe, to me, City didn't win the league, Arsenal lost it, and I still stand by that. So thought coming into this season, I thought Arsenal still be a little bit short. I've got to be honest. I think I'd stand for second. That was before a ball was kicked. So I had Liverpool down for third, and City obviously to win the league. But Arsenal's style of football is obviously a lot different from last season, as has been spoken about.
Yeah,
loads of season. Keeping more possession of the ball, but we're probably at the top end of the pitch. Still a little bit of a blunt instrument. That may sound a little bit harsh, but not as clinical as last season. But it's a tough one, Joe, because I look at Arsenal, I'm like, I think we're still a little bit short. And we are actually, to be honest, in terms of the quality in the squad depth. But I was speaking to a couple of my Arsenal mates the other day, and I think we could take it close. I still think we might think a little bit short. And I'm thinking maybe last couple of games of the season where it really counts. But we're in a good place, mate. The goal difference is a massive plus after winning 6-0 last week, because that's like an extra point. effectively.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with what I've seen. I think Champions League football's been a bit better this season than the Premier League, which is a surprise because I thought we might struggle a little bit in the Champions League, mate. To be honest.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You are still fighting on all fronts. Obviously, you're in the Champions League. Are you still in the FA Cup? Off the top of my head,
No, we lost Liverpool in that one, mate. We're still not happy about that one.
Yeah, sorry about that. Didn't mean to open up all ruins. But obviously, still fighting on two fronts. You know, the main two that you would have wanted at the start of the season: the Champions League and the league title. Which one would you like the club to prioritise if you were to prioritise one? Because, like you said, you do still feel like you're a bit short in terms of quality. And when you look at City as well and the clubs that you expect to be able to fight on both fronts, they've got these big squads full of quality. So you probably won't be able to fight on both fronts and get the double. Like, never say never, but it probably won't happen. So if you could prioritise one, which one would you want Arsenal to prioritise?
Oh, Joe, what a question, man. Flipping hell.
It's one of them. Obviously, you've won the league before several
times,
but it's been a while, and obviously never won the Champions League, and that'll get that off the back.
Yeah, Joe, you know what it is for me. I have a famous saying I say on my channel and to my Arsenal community. I'm 21 plus a little bit of VAT, so I've seen a lot of Arsenal. I'm lucky enough to see Arsenal win a European trophy. I'm that old, believe it or not, Joe. It does really wrangle me. Arsenal's European record as a football club. It's actually it's very poor. And I'm being polite by saying that. We ain't won the league obviously since 2003-04, and it's a tough one because you can't help how old you are, right? So a lot of our Arsenal fan base in the younger community have never seen a league title or even a league title challenge. But if it's to push me on it, and I have said it, I would take the Champions League all day because I just think when you win an European competition, Joe, it does elevate you in world football and a lot more respect. And a lot more kudos. And we've obviously, it pains me that Chelsea have got it a couple of times, man. It's a bad feeling. But you know what? Liverpool done us a favor a long time ago when they beat Tottenham, because that would have been the worst nightmare if they'd have won the Champions League for us. I don't think I'd be on this podcast, Joe, to be honest, if that happened. But I would take the Champions League over the league, and that might horrify Arsenal fans, but I would honestly take it, mate.
No, I respect that because I do agree with you. Once you win, like, look, obviously Villa won it in the 80s or whenever it was. Forest won it in the 80s, and it's still spoken about today, and people still see them rightly as big clubs, and they are big clubs because of what they've done. And obviously Arsenal, you'll always have that from opposition fans. Like, you need to win the European trophy, like the Champions League, to be able to seen as like a big club, and that will get rid of that. But obviously you are a big club, but there'll always be that comeback that opposition fans have, which, you know, City had for so long. Now they don't have it anymore. We mentioned the league title, obviously. The league position, I'll just go through it again. Currently third on 52. Tottenham are fourth on 47, but it's the top three only, I think, for me. Obviously, then you've got City on 52, but with a game in hand and in better form. City are doing that thing they do at this time of year every time. And then Liverpool, who you've just beaten recently, but they do have a couple of points more than you, but you have played the same games as them, but you are in better form than them.
Yeah.
Can you win it? Do you think you'll win it? Can you win it?
They normally say the crunch time this season where Arsenal used to fall away was like February, March, but I don't think that happened. I think I'm not in the know, or obviously transfer windows have gone out until summer now, so can't rely on people coming in. I would like to see Mikel trust his squad a bit more. And what I mean by that, to give a bit of context, is you kept some of the players in and they got contracts in, like Nketiah's and Reece Nelson's. You got to trust them more. I know how important Bukayo Saka is. I love him to pieces, obviously, but there are times when obviously Arsenal had a bit of a low where we had one win in 7. The front three would not fire him. He can be quite ruthless with some of the playing staff, but for some reason it doesn't attribute to some of the front attackers, should I say, with the exception of Martinelli, who got taken out the team for a little bit. But it's a tough one. I think if you ask me the same question, sort of late March, I can definitely give you a definitive answer, because we still got some tough games, Joe. We've got to go away to OT. We've won twice there, including 08. We've won twice at that ground.
Yeah,
we just can't seem to beat them at Old Trafford. And obviously, we've got to go to the Etihad still. So we've got some tough away games to deal with, man. So I think, like I said, it's a gut feeling. I think we'll take it close, but I think we might fall a tiny bit short.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I do agree. I just think that City are relentless. I think that's
Yeah.
all it is. It's more a case of how good City are rather than you not being good enough. City
And
are
De
in that
Bruyne's
stage
back
now
as well.
where they exactly De Bruyne is back, Haaland's back, and got a couple of goals the other night. And so I can't look past City. I really can't, which is weird because actually at the start of the season, because there was rumours that Salah would be going to Saudi.
Yeah.
City lost a few players and did look weaker for me before they brought some more players in. I know they still had KDB and Haaland. But I actually put a bet on Arsenal to win the league, thinking that you
wow.
might bring a striker in. I thought Arsenal will bring a striker in, and they didn't. And that brings me on nicely to my next question. You said there earlier, like you still think the squad's a little bit short. I look at your squad, and the only place I look at thinking you are short, the main one is striker. Like, is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I've been on so many various Arsenal fan channels as well as my own channel in the last 18 months, probably maybe even 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a reluctance from Mikel, that he doesn't feel he needs one. I don't particularly think you'd have to change the system that much, but then I think if you're a forward-thinking coach or you're a top coach, yes, it's his first job in football, obviously, which is still, you have to think about that. But
Yeah.
you got in top level sport, you have to show the ability to adapt. And I'm sorry, we do need to bring in the front man. The problem we got, Joe, and I've said this so many times, and I'll keep saying it to be honest. The striker market is, I think, one of the most difficult markets, and I say that because there's not a lot of option. Kane's in his late 20s, I think early 30s. Lewandowski's in his early 30s. You got Lautaro Martinez. The obvious ones that are linked with Arsenal, Osimhen will cost a lot of money. Obviously, Ivan Toney, who's Premier League proven. And my actually outside bet for Arsenal to look for a striker for next summer would be Victor Gyökeres at Sporting Lisbon, who was at Coventry in the Championship.
We will link with him loads in the summer.
Yeah, I like him, Joe, man. All round.
Good player.
Yeah, good player. I know Arsenal was, oh, God, yeah, but he played in the Sky Bet. And don't be snobs. People got to start somewhere. But he would be my outside bet, but I wouldn't complain if they look at Tony. So I'd be shocked if come the summer, Joe, if it's not one of them three strikers, then Arteta and Edu have got to have something else cooking, man, because his Arsenal fans, they're waiting in the wings, man.
Ollie Watkins, is he not one that you'd want, or is he just too expensive, do you think, Ollie Watkins? I think he'd suit you perfectly, but Villa will obviously play hardball if that were going to happen.
Yeah, they did with Douglas Luiz last season.
Exactly.
So yeah, you know what? He's to giving me flowers, Joe. He's been kind of talked about before, and obviously he's an Arsenal fan, so that might be a little bit of a pull.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's mad to think Gerrard didn't even give him a sniff when he was there at Villa. He just didn't fancy him, but he's been excellent.
Says a lot about Gerrard, I think.
It was pretty good last season, Watkins, to be fair, and he's carried it on to this season. Good shout, Joe. But Arteta's so kind of stubborn in his tactics, and but I think he'd be willing to adapt that. But Watkins is a shout. But I think the three I mentioned, I think you'd have to be a real betting man to go outside of those sort of three names in Tony, Gyökeres, and Victor Osimhen.
Yeah, I do think Tony will suit you quite well as well. You mentioned there, obviously, Arteta being stubborn and stuff. Do you think he's too ingrained on trying to play in that system that everybody seems to want to play now, that Pep played in for so long, like the system without the striker and having, the wingers chipping in with goals and stuff, which City did for so long. And obviously Arteta's background is alongside Pep. So I think maybe he's trying to emulate that too much. But even if you look at City, Pep tried to do it for so long because he was trying to emulate what he had at Barcelona because he had all the midfielders that did chip in a lot at Barcelona. But as soon as they added Haaland, they were so much better. And I don't know if I'm just asking you, I'm thinking out loud, kind of asking you, like, do you just think Pep's trying to emulate that too much, like that total football that Pep had with Barcelona and what he tried to recreate at City as well when he first got there?
Yeah, that's the thing. You kind of nailed it. I think he's obviously worked with Pep for a long time, and there are such similar traits there. Stubbornness isn't always a good quality, as I saw with Arsene Wenger, to be honest with you. But I think with Mikel, and I kind of said it about 5 minutes ago, in top level sport, in management, you have to show the ability to show adaptability. It's so important. You know, like I said, you kept the players you wanted to keep here. When you tried to do the inverted play from the right hand side of the pitch with Thomas Partey at right, but I couldn't. I'm not a football coach, Joe, but I just could not understand that. And Zinchenko, yes, he wants to play that inverted role, but for me, with Zinchenko, for example, I know he's injured at the moment. I liken it to Trent in the sense that you can forgive him defensively because he gives you so much going forward. I don't think Zinchenko gives us so much going forward that he's that integral. People might disagree that in my Arsenal fan base, but I that's my honest opinion. But for example, when we beat West Ham, Ben White played in that inverted role, and obviously Kivior kind of stayed on the defensive side of it. And I just thought, well, Ben White's comfortable on the ball. Surely that would have made sense to have tried that a bit sooner. Maybe he's just been reluctant to do it, but I just wish, Joe, sometimes for me, he would just show a little bit more adaptability, and that comes with faith in the players that you have at your club.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, that brings me on nicely. We're going to ask about Arteta, and obviously we're talking about him now, so it makes sense to ask the question now. There was so much noise 2-3 years ago. Everything was Arteta out, whether it were, AFTV or, Turkish, who obviously does his own stuff, but he's part of that, all the guys that you'll be aware of. It was always just Arteta out, want him out. The fan base was screaming and shouting or wanting him out. Obviously, that's settled down now because you're doing quite well. What are your actual thoughts on him at the minute? Are you happy with him? I know you said you wish he would be a little bit more adaptable and stuff, but as a manager in the job that he's doing now at Arsenal, are you happy with him? And are you happy that you're stuck with him through all that shit, basically, through all the noise?
Yeah. Well, Mikel Arteta is a really touchy subject amongst our fans, man. Wow. I think with Mikel, in regards to the Arsenal fans, not even necessarily ones that I know personally, Joe, just there's no grey area. There isn't. Either you've got fans that, and I said this to Tom Cantor for Good Talk TV, that there is kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? He does have a cult following. And if you do criticize him, they're ready to jump on your neck. It's the other way around. If you're against him, you get the Arteta faithful that will go for the ones that kind of are not happy with him. So, but where I'm at with him is a risk taking him on, but Arsenal saw something in him, not just the first time round, the second time round to give him the job after initially probably bottling it and then giving it to Unai Emery. It is his first job in management, which does count against him when you come up against the likes of the Klopp and Guardiola. So he's got to learn quickly. Whether he's learning quickly enough, time will tell, and I think that we'll definitely get a definitive answer come the end of May. I think in terms of also Arteta, in regards to bringing trophies to Arsenal, I've seen progression, but I've not seen success. We've got the FA Cup in 18-19, which he inherited Unai Emery's squad, but I think there's talk about him getting a new contract, which I think they will. The Cronkies are happy with him; they like him, Joe. But if they're going to give him a new contract, and I'm paraphrasing, I wish I was there in the conversation between Josh Kroenke and Edward Arteta. But I think if you're going to give him a contract, because I think his contract runs in 2024-25, then the contract is to win a trophy without fail. I actually thought he had to win one this season. Challenge for the league, domestic cup, keep the fans silent. But we're out of both domestic cups. So you've got the Champions League, you've got the Premier League. There's no God-given right in football to win trophies, but Arsenal are a big football club. And Arsenal fans have been very patient. Some less patient than others, but Mikel, he's done a good job. I think he won a lot of people over doing the Amazon documentary. He did make me laugh with some of the things he's doing, Joe, I've got to be honest, but he's got to deliver a trophy for me. I've said this season, and it's definitely got to be next season if he's been given a contract extension.
Yeah, fair enough. I see why he's getting a new contract, because you've definitely progressed under him, and he's definitely got better. Like as a manager, like you said, it's his first managerial job, and he's getting better as a manager. And you're growing with him. I feel like it sounds very much like what we're trying to do with Company, in a little like Company's. All right, it's his second job, but it's still his job in a, no disrespect to Belgium, but a big league or a big country. And Company's made a lot of mistakes this season, but we will stick with him and we'll hopefully grow with him. And I feel like Arsenal are growing alongside Arteta. But I agree, in his next contract, at least he has to win a trophy, because then there's no. I think the only next progression from here is a trophy, because you've got to the stage of nearly winning trophies now. When you 2-3 years ago you were miles away, whereas now you're nearly winning them again. And then now the next logical step is trophy. So yeah, I agree.
Because we'll find out whether he's the man to take us that next step and win us a trophy, as opposed to you've got us to a point where we're back in the Champions League, where we're now challenging for league titles, which has not been the case for a very, very long time. But can he make that next step up and deliver us an European trophy or a Premier League?
Yeah, agree with that. You mentioned earlier as well, I do want to quickly ask you about this. You said you felt like last year Arsenal bottled it, whereas this year you just won't think you'll have enough. City might just have too much for you. But you did say it was like a touchy subject, the bottle thing. Like, why do you think you've got rid of that bottle? Like, what's different about Arsenal now to say that you don't think you'll bottle it? If that makes sense, you might not win the league, but it won't be you bottling it; it'll be City. So why are you not a bottle job team anymore? Basically, is what I'm asking.
I mean, within our fan base, a lot of them got rattled with that title. I wasn't too fussed. I just think we threw it away personally. It depends what word you want to pick out of the Oxford thesaurus to make you feel better or not. But yeah, I think I've said this before, and I think it's quite relevant. So we missed out on Champions League 2 seasons ago. So what you're thinking, you know what, the players are hurting, the fans are hurting.
Yeah.
Are the group of players going to learn from that? Right. So we get back into the Champions League, but the problem is we're going for a league title. We lose that. It still stings, to be honest with you. Of course it will. Now, what you don't want to happen is, they say for lightning to strike twice, you don't want the same thing to happen 3 times where you're in a position where you got a chance to win it, you don't win it. The difference this season is Arsenal chasing. That's a different animal from being ahead and setting the pace. So I guess, have Arsenal learned from last season? How much have they learned from last season to get them over the line? And how do they feel about being a team that's the chasers? It's a different mindset, Joe. It's a much different mindset. Of course there's pressure, but you've got another team in the mix, obviously, with Liverpool stepping up this season as well. So Arsenal know that there's no room for margin of error, man. We've got to win games of football and go on the kind of runs that City go on, and collect the points and smash teams or play them off the park. Because Arsenal, it's good. Good thing having possession of the ball, but you've got to make it count at the top end of the pitch. And Liverpool at the top end of the pitch are killers. City are just a juggernaut in terms of how they keep the ball and how they just wear teams out. But Arsenal have got, for example, that game against West Ham, for example, I defy any Arsenal fan to tell me, oh, you know what, we're due to give a team a spanking this season. Not really. I don't think we played that great. That result just came out of nowhere. But Arsenal are going to have to, we're going to have to raise it a little bit more in terms of how we kill teams off and not miss many chances. That's an issue.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's not this Saturday. But that brings me on nicely as well. Obviously, I do like to get people, especially people that have not been on the channel before in your case, or what I do like to do now is mix it up. Like, I'd used to use the same creator like both times we play him, whereas now I'll use a different one each season. If there's 2 decent enough channels, obviously with Arsenal there's loads, but I'd struggle to do that in the Championship. However, obviously you've never been on the channel before. Welcome. Thank you for coming on. But I do like to ask people what their thoughts are on Burnley, because like Burnley were always this team that people disliked because we played in a certain way, the Sean Dyche way, which was just basically lumping it long, getting in your faces, trying to upset you, and doing things that way. And obviously we got a bit of joy with it. Obviously we beat you down at the Emirates once in the COVID season. But obviously we're trying to do things differently this year. Well, from last year, since Vincent Kompany's come in, we're buying young up-and-coming players for a start. We've got a young up-and-coming manager who's a household name in this country and other countries across Europe as well, because of what he's achieved in the game. And we're trying to play football in a certain style, a completely different style to what we used to do. Obviously, this season, it's not really worked, and we are going to go down. I think everybody's happy to admit that now. You'll find a few that are still hanging on, like, oh, if we beat this team and that team, then you never know. We're going down. Just come to terms with it. But obviously, it's looking, and I'm hoping that we're going to stick with company and carry it on next season. Like, what are your thoughts on what Burnley are trying to do? Because obviously, sticking with him and carrying this conveyor belt of young up and coming players is hopefully going to be to our benefit in the next couple of years.
Yeah, you're raising good points, because obviously you had a bit of an overhaul when you did go down. I mean, I think the only player that I recognise, I think, still at your club is Josh Brownhill, because I don't recognise most of the others, but I'm familiar with some of them. Yeah, but obviously, you got brought in Sanderberg from Sheffield United. Was that right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was linked with Arsenal at one point. I was like, they must be impressed with him. But
yeah,
that was
when they had that first season in the Prem, and they did really well. I think they finished 7th or 8th, and that summer he was linked with a couple of big clubs. Yeah, Arsenal being one of them. But yeah, obviously he's coming, he's good. Still got Jay Rodriguez, but obviously he's mainly on the bench these days. But yeah, when we went down, obviously we lost Tarkowski, Ben Mee, Nick Pope, Chris Wood the summer before. Ashley Westwood had a big injury. So, we lost a lot of players. So we had to have a big overhaul. And to say we absolutely romped the Championship last season, even though we had that overhaul, was fantastic. And to win the league at Blackburn, obviously, it's on a smaller scale to you boys doing it when you did it at White Hart Lane. But still great, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm aware of the rivalry between Blackburn and it's not. Yeah, there's some hatred there, man. Trust me. But no, you know what? Actually, Burnley was one of the clubs. I think Burnley was the one Championship side. I actually picked you guys to stay up, because I thought before a ball was kicked, I thought Luton. I couldn't see Luton and Sheffield United staying up. But the only thing I was worried about, and I think Bournemouth probably was similar a few seasons ago under Eddie Howe, was that play some really good football, but is that transferable to do that coming up from the Sky Bet Championship to the Premier League? And how far is he going to go away from that? What's his name? I forgot his name. Vincent Kompany. Is he from what you saw when you came up, and obviously the start of the sort of first few months of the season, has he tweaked anything, or has it been exactly the same in terms of?
No, he's tweaked it slightly. It's not as gung-ho as he was, and you will now see some long balls creeping in, whereas even when we're under pressure, that the mantra was pass out from the back, and the amount of times we got caught, man, every single week. So there was a shift in formation, there was a shift in mantra a little bit, but it's still, the ethos is still the same: possession, play out from the back, break the lines, and then go forward in numbers if you can. That is the same thing, but it has been tweaked slightly.
Yeah, I was going to say, because obviously Everton they've already had 10 points deducted. I don't know when they're hearing it, so I think I just thought, you know what, you may have a bit of a shot in the arm and thinking, you know what, if you can snag a couple of wins, man, it brings Luton and the other sides back into it, because Palace are on a wretched run, man. Obviously
they are, they really are.
Hope Roy Hodgson gets better soon as well, because I heard about that today. But I think that's the positive you can take, because a couple wins here and there, there's still a lot of games to go, a lot of football to go. I'm sure you probably still got to play some of the teams in and around you.
We've still got to play Sheffield United at Bram. Honestly, mate, like I think I've closed the league table now because it was depressing me. But I'll quickly try and get it back up. But like the turnaround that we would need, and there'll be people listening to this, obviously Burnley fans who disagree. There are Burnley fans on socials that do still think we can get out of it, like you say, with a couple of wins. But just getting the league table up now. So obviously we're second bottom, joint bottom technically, on 13 points. So we are 7 points away from 17th of all Luton, who have a game in hand on us. So we've won 3 games all season, mate, and we've played 24. So quick maths, there's 14 left.
Yeah.
So out of winning 24, I wish. Out of playing 24 and only winning 3, we're going to now need to win probably 7 games minimum in 14. And that's 50% of the games. Like, it's just probably, you could get away with 6 minimum and a few draws to maybe get us up to 33, 34, 35. It's just not going to happen. We need to win so many games, and to say we've only won 3 all season, like, yes, we might beat Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. Like, we might pick up a result because we've got to play Bournemouth at home, Brentford at home, Palace away. So Wolves at home, Brighton at home. There's some games in there where you think, oh, maybe, but we're not going to win 7 or 8 games. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, because obviously you're not the biggest scorers in the league, so
Exactly, yeah.
that's the one thing you come up from. Well, not even if you come up from particularly if you come up from the championship, you need somebody or players in your attacking final third that are going to put the ball in the back of the net to give you a chance to beat the drop. But yeah, hope is the one that kills you, man. I know that as an Arsenal fan, man. Believe me.
That's why I've let go of all hope, mate. Just so I don't get. A couple of years ago, obviously got relegated on the last day of the season. I went to the turf that day. We were playing Newcastle. Newcastle had nothing to play for. Leeds were playing Brentford, who had something to play. I don't know what it was, but they had the most difficult. Obviously, we lost. Leeds won. They stayed up. That hurt the most because I went in there thinking we're going to stay up. Now, since October, I've been like, yeah, there's no chance. So I've kind of come to terms with it. So I'm completely fine with it. But just to talk about Arsenal as well, what sort of lineup are you expecting at the weekend? Is there any like big injuries? I know you've had some players come back recently. Trossard's come back and done well, and I think a couple of others as well. But is there any big injuries that we need to know about?
Oh, so Zinni missed the last game against West Ham. I don't know if he's going to be touch and go for Saturday. I think Kivior probably will deputise. I know it's not his preferred position, but he did a job there. I think the only one that was injured, I know ESR got injured last week, missed the West Ham game, but you wouldn't have started. Jesus is not going to be back for a while, so I think you probably see Havertz probably play down the middle as that false nine on the main man. And obviously Martinelli and Saka will start. I don't know, Jorginho might come in. I'm not too sure. But we'll see. But no, I don't think there'll be many changes, mate, to be honest with you. The goalkeeper situation was a talking point for him, but I think it's pretty obvious we know that David Raya is going to be his number one, so that's fine. Saliba and Gabriel have been class this season, especially Gabriel. He deserves one of the most underrated players at Arsenal, and definitely defensively needs to get more flowers. But there won't be many changes, mate, to be fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Obviously, we do always get into predictions as well, so I'll quickly get your prediction in a second. Don't worry, no Burnley fan will ever look at this and be like, I can't believe he's predicted Arsenal to win. I had Cecil from AFTV on early in the year, and he was like, oh, I'm on a Burnley channel. I don't want to say it, but I think we'll beat you. I'm like, Burnley fans think you're going to win, mate. So just relax. But I will get that from you in a second. I just want to remind everybody that Burnley's sleeve sponsor for the 23-24 season are about to unveil something special. The limited edition Burnley FC Uphold card set to launch soon. You can easily add funds to your card and unlock its perks, whether you're spending at home or away. The card lets you spend in any currency anywhere in the world. It's accepted everywhere MasterCard is without foreign transaction fees and offers a competitive exchange rate for added ease and security. You can also pay with Apple or Google Play. So yes, mate, predictions. Don't worry. I'm going to go 3-1 to Arsenal. I'll put it out there first so you don't feel as bad. And even that, I feel like we'll do well to score against you but I'm only saying that I think we'll get a goal because we scored against City and we scored against Liverpool recently. So yeah, I'm just logic is just thinking, well, they're good teams. Arsenal are good teams as well. We might get one goal. And they both beat us 3-1. So might as well be a hat-trick of 3-1 defeats against the top three. But yeah, don't worry. I think you'll win. Most Burnley fans will think you'll win. But I'm going to go 3-1 to Arsenal. What about you, mate?
Oh, Joe, you stole my scoreline. It's going to go 3-1 as well.
Yeah, hey, you can have it. You can have it.
3-1. I think 3-1. But I would like another clean sheet. But yeah, 3-1. I think we'll concede.
Yeah, it's weird though. Saying I think we'll score while our main striker is just been confirmed to be injured, but yet David Fofana's obviously come in from Chelsea, so he might be a little bit more up for it with him being a Chelsea boy. And he's come in and done well, man. Like, all right, he missed a couple of sitters against Liverpool, but I say sitters, that's probably harsh. He missed a couple of chances against Liverpool, but he scored 2 against Fulham, and I quite like him. And he's shown more in his last 2 games than Foster has, for example. Thoughts with Foster is obviously, if I don't know if those listening wouldn't be aware. If you're not aware, follow us on social media. We did put it out today on both Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, actually, all 3. But he has just undergone surgery and will be out for a while, but it's not season ending according to company. So yeah, fingers crossed for Lars. Obviously had his troubles this season. Having said that, just to put it out there, the injury is nothing to do with the troubles, or so we're told, and I believe them, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, we're both going for a 3-1 Arsenal win then. I'm sure most Burnley fans will be fine with that. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. And before we wrap it up, mate, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you and your content if they want to digest some of your content?
They can. You can hear my Southeast London dulcet tones, people. Albert J TV. See me here, there, and everywhere. On Schooner Talk TV, you see my Lead Judges TV, 12th Man Podcast with Potsy, and my own channel, Albert JTV.
Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure, mate. And we normally wrap this up around like the 25, 30-minute mark, but because you've been such a good talker, we've actually pushed the 35-minute. But that's a good thing, mate. Sometimes it's so difficult to get answers out of a guest. And I'm like asking loads of questions, and I'm like, mate, I need more from you.
I know only too well, mate, believe me.
So I really do appreciate you coming on, mate. Because you've been busy as well today. You've been at work, got home at 5. We're recording this at 6. So, I really do thank you for that, Albert. It's a pleasure. Hopefully we'll link up again soon. Maybe if we get you in the cup next season or the season after when we've dicked the championship again, mate. But thank you for coming on. Good luck for the rest of the season. Obviously, just after Saturday, though.
No worries, mate. Thank you.
Nice one, buddy. Cheers.